Oh, we are live on Instagram. My name is Rick Noda, host here of T3 Talks, where we tighten, tone, and transition. I'm the founder of T3 Body, you guys. But today, I've got to say, you've been following my podcast, you guys, all week. You know, when I talk about friends and I talk about connectors and I talk about individuals, this guy really sets the standard. You know, when, just to kind of give you a heads up, you guys, when I met Steph, I met him at Clever Talks, you know, and we just hit it off. And when he came back the second day, remember my video too, he said, and he really made my day, made the salty Marine happy. He said, you know what? I came back for you, Rick. I haven't had some intimacy like that in a while. And we talked and it was great, you know. And as I've gotten to know Steph more and more, I know that he's a leader. He's a gentleman that really sets himself apart from the others, you know. But besides our likes and of that, you know, here's the other thing. We're two pretty guys. I'm gonna say it, all right? And I can say it from one guy to the other, you guys. You know, two pretty guys coming out who really, why is that important? You know, and I just joke around being pretty, is that, you know what? You know, we're role models for our families. We're role models for others, you guys. And when I say sometimes our motivation, all the time, motivates, our motivation inspires us to be better, what does better mean? Well, you could look at me, you could look at Steph to kind of see that. Now, some of the busy work that I've got, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Hit that subscribe button. Just for those who don't know, that's for my Teletubbies. Teletubbies. I like to say, I come from Chicago, and the light is dry. Coming in from Encinitas, California, we have number 24, Steph. High five, brother. Come on,
wow.
have a seat.
Wow, that was great.
That was great. I would tell you, it's great to have you, brother. Nice to see you.
Oh, I'm so humbled by that introduction.
Thank you so much. But it's true. What we really had, like I said, as a Marine, the camaraderie that we had, that interaction. Yes. And I'm going to tell you, he's suited up just like he is here today. You know, classic guy. But here's Steph. Here's the beauty. When we sat down and we talked, you talked to me about things that for me, I didn't think a lot of people talked about. Right. You know, it's the development, the inspiration, and sometimes the courage to really say things that really, I often say, talk about the 500-pound elephant in the room.
Yeah,
there.
absolutely.
You know, but the thing that most of my viewers really appreciate is when people come out of adversity. So when we talked last week, and we did the video, when you got let go, fired, or you know, we've got a guy that used to go, "You're fired," all right? But it was funny until he went president, became president. But just kidding. But when you got fired, when that happened, that slap in your face, what did you do? What was the self-talk that allowed you to transition?
Well, here's the thing about the day I got fired. The same day I got fired was the same day my wife called on the phone and said, guess what? We're pregnant.
Oh my God! I didn't even know that.
With our first child.
Well, congratulations on that part.
Thank you. You know, and I was driving. I got off the phone. I hung the phone up, and I said, what am I going to do? I just lost my job. But what I did was I got in the car.
Yep.
And I had a nice hour-and-a-half drive back to San Diego from Orange County, where I was working at the time.
Nice.
And I said, you know what? Where am I going to go? What kind of setup do I give my child to make to give him the best opportunity possible?
And that's they often say hitting bottom, but it doesn't even get bottom there. What I say is that's like 4 deep below bottom, you know? That's like that's 6 feet under. But so you're sitting there and that self-talk. Did you go through anger? Did you go through, did you cry a little bit? Did you punch the steer? Hour and 30.
Well, here's the thing about that. The exciting thing about it was I couldn't be happy or sad. And so I was even Steph.
You're great. I was in a gray area.
I was like, hey, I'm gonna have a baby. Oh, I just lost my job. But the nice thing about it is I knew and I had faith that it would clear itself up.
Yeah.
As I continue to go back home, closer to home, and the closer to home I actually got, the more clear my next chapter was going to be.
And can I say something, because we've talked intimately before, how much does your dad have an influence on that part of it?
You know, the thing about my dad, he was a chief in the Air Force, so I was never in the military.
You see, I threw that back in.
I was never in the military, but I grew up in a military family.
And that's what
I grew up under a chief, and so everything was, the first achievement of the day is make your bed.
If you make your bed every morning, you will have accomplished the first task of the day. It will give you a small sense of pride, and it will encourage you to do another task, and another, and another.
Hey, yes,
so
yes.
Even today, I make my bed. My kids may not make their bed because, they're 9 and 7 and 3, but they see me make our bed every morning, and that's one of those examples that I need to set as a dad.
You know, they one of the things that we talk about and here is making your bed every day.
Yeah.
It's the small things that matter, and that's the attention to detail.
It absolutely is the little things that matter, because our minds, we make decisions, micro decisions every single second of every single day that could take us off our life's path and trajectory.
Yep.
I don't want to deal in that.
Exactly. And to me, the best thing about making your bed, a very simple thing like that, is I always get up on the right side of the bed. And people, and Stefan and these guys, I tell them all the stories about being in the suck and how it sucked and all this. All I cared about was a perfect bed, man. I didn't care about my family. I mean, not in a way like that. I just like, dude, I can't wait to go to sleep on some clean sheets after a clean shower. So it's good to see that had a positive influence. Now, with that influence, you've done some non-for-profit organization, some work for some non-for-profit, and I got it right now. Legacy is Legacy Survival Wear. Help me. I messed it up again. Damn it.
Legacy Parenting Survival Wear.
There it is. So let me say it again. Legacy Parenting Survival Wear. Now, Legacy Parenting Survival Wear. The graphic is right there. So tell me a little bit about that. I apologize. I'm ADD dyslexic.
So about 6 months, as I was now a stay-at-home father because I had lost my job,
right,
I was filling out a federal application which was timed. And so my wife comes in and says, hey, can you feed Dario? And I said, well, I only have 20 minutes to do this. She's like, well, I need to run out. So here I am in front of my computer. I'm holding him, hunting and pecking, trying to complete it. And it ends up, closing out because I was out of time. So then I said, what kind of life is this? Here's a problem. How can I solve it?
Yep.
And then I said, how does a new father survive this?
Yep.
And that's when it came to me. Fatherhood survival wear.
Oh, I love that.
So then I was in the shower and I said, well, here I am. I'm about to start a new job because this is time for him to go to daycare now.
Yeah.
And it's time for me to go back to work. Not time for me. I wanted to go back to work. Let me rephrase that.
No, yeah.
And so I said, well, what kind of legacy am I going to leave my son, if I go back to work this job? And that's when it dawned on me. Legacy Fatherhood Survival Wear is where it actually all started.
Oh, that's so cool.
Evolving and transforming from that, I started thinking about mom, the most important person in the equation.
Exactly.
Beyond just me and the bond my son have,
Yeah.
but mom. And that's when I said, but not every family has a mom and dad.
Right.
Like me, I was raised by my grandparents.
Yep.
So I have to think about my guardians.
Exactly.
And that's when I expanded it to Legacy Parenting Survival Wear, which is a framework and guideline to help new parents and just parents in general engage with their kids and create and stimulate that bonding experience.
Where was he when I had my kids? I'm not going to lie. I'm sitting there. I was ostracized because I actually put a leash on my kids. Oh my God, he puts a leash on his kids. But that's surviving, the survival wear. The other thing is it reminds me of that pacifier.
Ladies, here's how it's going to be. Tonight, on your dead mother. That means if you want to live to see tomorrow, you do exactly as I say. Do we understand each other?
From Vin Diesel, where he sits there and goes, and because that's how I was as a dad, but I'm like duct tape and stuff, man.
Exactly.
And it's so great that it's nice, you guys. If you're a new parent and you've had that same scenario, please go to his website, check it out underneath here, because you guys, it is survival gear, because life doesn't stop, and when you have kids, it moves on. After you do that, you can be like Mike. You're done. Like, hey, I've done.
Right.
So what do you do next?
Well, here's what I do next. I take my knowledge and information, and what I actually do now is I lift. I use that to lift other people. I use that experience in business to lift other businesses.
Nice.
So I created Trifecta Business Strategies, which allows me to work with medium and small-sized business to help inspire them to change directions and pivots, help them with their strategic leadership, their management, their organizational structure, things like that. But I took all of that information and said, that's not who I am.
Right.
I got involved in volunteerism.
Nice.
I said, what better way for me to set up a life for my son but to volunteer, to teach him about giving unto himself beyond himself.
And that's the thing about giving. A lot of times when you give or volunteer, there's that's it. Yeah. You're not, but when you are sometimes an organization, there's like expectations, people coming back. But when you volunteer, it's volunteering.
Absolutely.
It's the lack of it's kindness in its most purest form. Absolutely. And I always talk about us being a better human, just being a better human, and volunteering is a great way to become a better human. Now, lift wise, here's what I like about the lift, and I love that part of it. All right, because I like a little exercise right there. tell a little bit about your fitness. And, you know, and I often say is like, I like that you're a throwback. You throw some chains out there, you throw some stuff. So tell a little bit about how you built out your garage a little bit to kind of make that fitness place.
You know, remember when I first met you, you were talking about the TRX straps and things like that. And you asked me if I had a set, and I said, no, I just use chains off of a piece of 2x4, and I use PVC pipe as handles.
Yo.
And I'm able to elevate it, drop it, use it. You know, I can do whatever I want with it, which is the beauty of it.
Yep.
You know, there was a time when I'm carrying a 60-pound punching bag on my back up Torrey Pines Hill, and I called that nonprofit Share the Weight. And that's sharing the weight of the world. The world. While I'm carrying somebody else. And people used to take Post-it notes and stick it on the punching bag.
Beautiful.
But as I've gotten older, I've had to slow that down.
We say a little mature right here. As a little mature.
As I've matured,
yes,
I had to be a little more strategic. So now I'm using baby weight workouts.
Nice.
So I use my kids.
Yeah.
My 3-year-old, who's 42 pounds at this point. I know, 3-year-old, 42 pounds. She's good size.
That's good.
And
good bones.
I'm using her for my curls, my push-ups. I strap her on my back. I'm doing the treadmill.
Nice.
I'm carrying her constantly. I'm doing my planks with her on my back.
Yep.
And, so,
and that's functional. That's
Absolutely.
functional stuff.
Absolutely.
And you guys, when I talk about like exercise, all right, a lot of what Steph is doing is functional. Think about this. Boom. You have to place a 50-pound carry-on on an overhead compartment. But most people don't even do that. Your daughter who's 42 is right around that same place. So you're using that, but you're creating your home as a playground. Just for you guys to know out there in the world, that's what the Marines do. We do train and we did PT, but we like, I'm lifting dudes, I'm doing stuff like that because that's functional movement. And that's what's great because that's what the lifestyle is. And that's how you can fit it in.
You know what I love about this? Let me tell you about one of the most impactful moments. When I posted my carry of my baby during my treadie, David, U.S. Marine or Navy SEAL, David Goggins, liked the post.
Yeah, see?
And I was like, what?
the guy that's jumping in like below water, he's literally doing the most like what I'd say radical things.
Exactly.
He appreciates I appreciate also the ability to to make something out of nothing, and that's what the military does. You take what you do, and you make it your own. That's why we call it organized chaos. And with the lift mentality, and lifting that comment, I have to say thank you because you've inspired me to lift my business up. The podcast that you've seen has gotten better and better. We're working on some projects about some wellness centers that we're looking into.
That's great.
In this, and and eventually, maybe possibly opening up second location.
Absolutely.
All right. So with that, with that, now there is a step right up. We've got a news release here, and he's a little ticker right here. Flash, flash, flash. What's next?
You have not only inspired me, and with your total transformation, but what's next for me is I'm running for San Diego Unified School District.
Yeah, let's give it, baby. Yeah, nice.
With all the drama that our current school board and San Diego Unified is having. It's time for somebody who's a problem solver and someone who uses feedback in the decision-making process, who builds their leadership on accountability, transparency, oversight, and safety, more importantly, safety. But then there is the fitness aspect that needs to go because without the head, the body, without that synergy between the two, we are flawed, and our students need to know that.
And that's the thing that I like in referring to Dr. Amen's way of a healthy brain. You start that way. You start with that healthy brain. The 4 parts. The biological talks about the physical fitness. The psychological, where your mind is in that. You've got the spiritual, what your higher power is. And then it's the social part, what social stresses that you're having. And it's good that someone that's going to get into a political position can actually start to not control, but empathetically show people that.
Absolutely. Now,
here's what I'll say, because again, I'm not hard copy here, but I am Latino, okay? Okay, so being Cuban, why you see that, chico? Now, I've noticed, again, I come from Chicago, and schools are probably ranked the worst in the world. Now, in education, what is being lost, man? I mean, I see it now. Kids are bigger. Kids are disconnected. The brown people like me, man, like, we stopped going to school and we think it's like, hey, we graduated high school, like, hey, we got to the Holy Grail. What can we do for our community, the community, to really get that part of the sector up, man?
Well,
sorry to be hard copy on your ass.
Part of that, what you're talking about is the achievement gap.
Yeah.
But one of the foundational things is what I've prided my entire professional life on is the wraparound service and the connection between parents and students.
Yes.
Yes, again, not every student has a parent, but every student has somebody that they inspires them.
Yes.
And that's really where their teacher comes in.
Yep.
When I give you a tip, teachers inspire parents and students to success. That's a wraparound.
Yes.
And it's the connection that students actually need to say, this person believes in me.
Right.
And that's what starts it all off right there.
And that belief, you guys, you remember I've talked to the story about Miss McCracken, you guys. And Miss McCracken,
The Kraken.
She was hard as hell because I was the kid that knew how to get out of class. I knew right off the bat if I threw scissors at my teacher, real story, if I would tell him to drop the F-bomb, I would get kicked out.
Right.
But Miss McCracken says, Rick, shut up and read.
Right.
And I read at a probably first grade level in 7th grade.
Right.
But that gap, she said, here, this is the standard, start to read. And the nice thing, she invested in me. And because of that, I knew she cared. Exactly. And by caring, she saved a life. And unfortunately, Miss McCracken has passed away in our lives. But what I say is she's, as a Buddhist, she's never dead because I'm talking about her and she lives forever. Now, here's the other thing, all right? Once you are elected, and see how I say that, once you are elected, what is the first business? Like, Obama and some of the presidents come in, they talk about the first 30 days in office right there. What's the first thing you do right in your first 30 days?
Stabilize. Triage.
I like it.
Because right now, we have some issues that are out in the media about San Diego Unified School District and some of the decisions that they made and some of the personnel decisions that people made in their personal lives.
Right.
But as 2014 was really the start of some of their troubles. We had a school board trustee who was almost indicted.
Oh wow! Sounds like Chicago, 3 governors.
Misappropriation of funds, things like that. Sure. And then fast forward 4 years later. 5 years later, we're dealing with the situation that a school board trustee makes a bad decision.
Right.
But it's the same board that's been up there the whole time. So the first 30 days is to really go back in there and stabilize and really reconnect with the community.
Yeah.
It's about connecting with the community and the parents and property owners. It's about everybody. Mm-hmm. And if San Diego really wants to be, first of all, it's San Diego Unified.
Right.
So in and of itself, it should be unified.
I know. And if you have unified in your name, you got to be unified. You can't be divided. At least put that in your name.
And you have to be collaborative with the city that's here.
Yep. And you have roots because of the work you did with putting up the neighborhood watches and coordinating with that. That lineage that's out there. Again, you're not someone that just decided to run. I mean, you've got kids in the community, things like that. So I really think that, and as a local person, there's a little bit more of understanding your market area. And I believe, and I love it. Stabilizing, triaging is a very medical and military word that you just. Those of you who don't know, triage is, and as you put some graphics up here, is literally like a code that you're in the ER. Basically, what triage says is if you come in and as a Marine and I look at you and you cannot live, I'm not working on you. This guy has a chance to survive, and I'm going to work on the people that can survive. So those who aren't are going to go to the wayside, and those who will survive will go. But that's great because when it's needed to rip the Band-Aid off.
Absolutely.
And that's the only way because it stings for a little bit. And then everything kind of starts to get back into that. I don't say conformity because it's never conformity. But what we start is we set the new standard.
Absolutely.
We set the new norm. And that's what I love about Navy SEALs and Marines and those who are raised by chiefs is that we understand that if no one is watching, someone is watching. So we're always standing tall. We're acting as if, because again, a lot of times I watched the box, you guys. I had no idea what was in it. And I just walked home and I turn in my weapon. They go, what did you do? Guard tag? I go, I don't know. But one thing I know is that I did it great, and I walked from one to the other. Now,
and that's what they say about character, right?
Yep.
Character is what you do when no one else is looking.
When no one else is looking.
And that's what you did.
That's exactly it. And it's instilled muscle memory over and over again.
Absolutely.
We're going to close this up. We've talked about your 30 days. We talked about your life. We talked about all of this. Now, I want to just say, what do you do for fun? What is out there like, you and I are like kind of like, I enjoy what I do every day. I live in paradise. So my life is fun. Yeah. But what, Steph, like, what are we you and I doing when we're hanging out when you're not running for student council or working on survival gear?
I like to actually play board games with my kids.
You know what?
I enjoy that.
So, Monopoly, Parcheesi,
Well,
sorry.
actually, last summer, I taught them Monopoly.
Oh, nice.
Which you can see the graphic here.
Right there. Nice.
And then just this past summer, I taught them how to play Risk. Again, because one of my favorite books is The Art of War by Sun Tzu.
My favorite.
You know, and my son is very engaged in not only globe and geography and where's what. You know, I used it as a learning mechanism and teaching mechanism for him to say, here's what happened in history, but at the same time, here are all the countries. Here's how they connect.
Yep.
And let's do some critical thinking.
Critical thinking.
So I
that's
use it
what
as a tool.
And that's what I love about board games, because that's where the basis is missing. And that's why you guys, Steph, and along with my kids, you know, we played board games and we played charades and things to develop critical thinking. I feel one of the things that kids lose is that part of it, because when I used to play Risk, you could go aggressive with the troops, or you could go flank around the side. And what you start to do is you start to learn to fail.
Right.
And not beat yourself up about it, create a secondary plan.
Dude, sucking at something is the first step towards being sort of good at something.
And with that, you guys, it's what life is about, you guys. It's failing more than succeeding, but then
because the more we fail, the more we succeed.
Yes. I mean, if you listen to Dwayne The Rock, if you listen to all Michael Jordan, whoever your role model, Russell Simmons, they will remember the failures over some of the successes.
Absolutely.
Because, you know, the successes come easy sometimes because the journey to get there, it was what you remember.
Absolutely.
You know, I'll tell you this, Steph. When we're done here with this podcast, Stefan's going to do a great job with this editing. He's going to make us look much better.
Because he's a great guy.
He's a great guy in this. Now, when I talk about our motivation inspires us to be better, I want you guys to think of Steph. And thank you, Steph, for coming through.
Thanks,
I appreciate it, you guys. Check out his website, you guys. If you're in the Claremont area, like I said, and if you have no idea who you're going to vote for, and get out there to vote for at least for one candidate, because that candidate is going to do something. And that something is triage, stabilize, so that we begin to put it back on the parents and parenting.
I'm a community guy, and that was the foundation of Legacy, is to really connect the bonding experience between parents and their children. And the beauty about our product line is it helps stimulate the cognitive learning mechanisms.
I love it, man. With that, you guys, hey, you guys know that panicking is the fuel that fires me. It is right here. It's in my heartbeat. I'll see you guys soon. Dale, cuídate.
My name is Stephen Groce, and I'm a candidate for San Diego Unified School District, Seat A, which is University City, Mira Mesa, and Claremont. I'm looking forward to your votes come March in our primaries, and then again in November. And I'm focused on our kids' future. You can find more information about me at stephengroce.com, or call me directly at 619-993-8668. Looking forward to your vote, and make it a great day.